Welcome back to another episode of the DFS Express, presented by Loudmouth MMA and MMAtoday.com. I am your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, here to talk UFC Fight Night 126 from Austin, Texas. The main event is Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Yancy Medeiros. We're here to talk DraftKings, going to go fight by fight, giving you picks based on salary to help you with your DraftKings lineups. And then at the end, I'm going to build a sample tournament lineup, and that'll go into the $8 contest this week. So if you enter it along, best case it will be a tie, but there are plenty of ties in that tournament. Before we get started, please give me a follow on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. Subscribe to my YouTube page if that's where you're watching this episode, the Daily Fantasy Sniper. And if you're listening on the Loudmouth MMA podcast platform, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, please subscribe. 5-star rating. If you're watching this video, please jump over, subscribe to the podcast, full breakdowns there. And then another quick shout out to RotoGrinders. Got my swag from Brett Apley wearing the shirt today. Good premium content over there. For more insight into DraftKings, I recommend, in pretty much both breakdowns, DraftKings, whatever you're doing, should get more than one opinion. I'm here to give you mine, and we'll see how it goes. So, jumping into the fights, Donald Cerrone is 8,400. Yancy Medeiros is 7,800. Couple things to look at here. Yancy Medeiros being the underdog is interesting in this card because there are not a lot of good underdog plays. There's actually only two that I'm going to lean towards as my preferred DraftKings play, and Yancy Medeiros is one of them. So lineup construction will be really interesting this week. But I like Medeiros because Cerrone has shown he can be finished lately. Not even just lately, he's been hurt, especially to the body. As has Medeiros, I just think this fight is going to become a war. Cerrone also struggles with southpaws and pressure fighters, and Medeiros is both of those. He is a southpaw who will pressure and back up Cerrone. I think eventually he wears him down and gets a late finish here. A lot of people are on Medeiros. I think he's become a little popular and trendy as an underdog play. But I don't mind that, especially in cash games. You could stack this up. Medeiros has been hurt in tons of fights. This is definitely not a lock by any means. Either guy can come out with a finish here. I'm going to lean Medeiros just stylistically because of the southpaw and pressure fighting. I'll take Medeiros as my preferred play at 7,800. Marcin Tybura, 8,300. Derek the Black Beast Lewis, 7,900. Derek Lewis is a little overhyped. I've bought into it at times. Guilty, but he was losing against Shamil Abdurakhimov before he got a late finish. He was hurt badly against Travis Brown and got saved by the bell in that fight before he got a finish, I think, in the second round. Arguably, he lost that decision against Roy Nelson. Coming off of a back injury, he pulled out of a fight against Fabricio Verdum because of it. Back injuries don't really go away. Tybura, on the other hand, looked good against Verdum. Lewis's only path to victory in this fight, by the way, is getting on top. Ground and pound is how he wins all his fights. I think Tybura has got a good kicking game. He's going to be able to use those kicks to maintain distance, keep this fight upright. I think even a body kick could put down Lewis, just because we've seen him be hurt by it before in the Brown fight. I just don't think Lewis can close the distance. I think Tybura pieces him up on the feet and either gets a fairly convincing decision or a late stoppage. I'm going to lean late stoppage. Tybura is my preferred play at 8,300. James Texecutioner Vic, 9,000 against Francisco Trinaldo, 7,200. I just think Vic is going to wear down Trinaldo in this one. Trinaldo was in a title eliminator, I think it was last year against Kevin Lee. I think that's kind of the beginning of the end in terms of him getting a shot. James Vic, I think it's going to wear on him, use his length, make this kind of a grinding type of fight. Vic just needs to survive the first 5 minutes against Trinaldo, and that kickboxing, I think he can. And like I mentioned, I just think Trinaldo is going to gas out, wear down, and Vic will be able to pour it on, pressure late. And I also think he'll get a late finish. James Vic at 9,000 is my preferred play. Thiago Alves, 8,600 against Curtis Millender, 7,600. I just think Alves is going to be able to use his experience, distance control. He has the takedown upside here. Millender is just a striker. I don't think he's well-rounded enough to take on Thiago Alves. The one worry here is that Alves is getting older and that cliff is approaching. So because you're hurting for underdogs, I can see making a case here for Curtis Millender being viable. The pick in the fight, though, is Thiago Alves, and that's the way I'm going to lean here at 8,600. Brandon Davis, 8,700 against Steven Peterson at 7,500. Brandon Davis really let me down against Kyle Bochniak. He did defend takedowns, but Bochniak just makes fights ugly, and we didn't see the Brandon Davis we saw in his previous fights on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. There's no pressure. He needs to push forward. I think he'll be able to do that against Peterson, stop enough takedowns. I'm going to give Brandon Davis one more chance here. I think he's all around better. Peterson is going to want to get this fight to the ground. It's where he succeeds. I don't think he'll be able to, and Brandon Davis is my pick at 8,700. Sage Northcutt, 9,200 against Thibault Goudy, 7,000. This is a tailor-made matchup for Northcutt. Goudy has been finished 3 times in the UFC. He beat Andrew Holbrook last time out. Doesn't do much for me. Northcutt just needs to stop the takedown. I don't think Goudy presents issues that way. I think Sage will outclass him on the feet. And Northcutt, for what it's worth, I think will improve in the future, working at Team Alpha Male, especially in the grappling. And he's only 21 years old. Similar to Jake Matthews, he should continue to get better. And this is just a great matchup against Goudy. The price is a bit much, but Northcutt's my preferred play at 9,200. Jared Gordon, 9,300, the most expensive fighter on the card, against Diego Ferreira, 6,900. Ferreira coming off a 2-year USADA suspension. We've seen guys look really bad coming off of those. Even the chin we saw from Gleison Tibau a few weeks ago got knocked out by Islam Makhachev, who wasn't a heavy hitter. Gordon's going to want to get this fight to the ground. I think he's going to be able to. I think he's just better than Ferreira, especially off the juice here. I know Ferreira was able to beat OAM, but again, 2-year layoff, ring rust, substance, all the things point to Jared Gordon here. The one thing he has to look out for is the BJJ game of Ferreira. I think he's able to avoid the submission, use his wrestling, and get a decision here. The price is a bit much, but he is definitely my preferred play at 9,300. Jeff Neal, 8,900. Brian Camozzi, 7,300. Can't believe I'm saying it, but Camozzi is the other dog I'm leaning towards as a viable play here. Jeff Neal is making his UFC debut. He's not well-rounded. He throws, his nickname is Hands of Steel. He's going to go out looking for the knockout. It's really all he has. I know Camozzi's been finished twice in the UFC, but that was Randy Brown and Chad Laprise kind of pouring it on over 2 or 3 rounds. It's not what Neal's going to do here. I think Camozzi is definitely longer. I think he's going to use the distance, use his kickboxing. He can clinch up, knees. I think he has more skills here and the experience. In the 7,300, I think it's a misprice. The line is off because people see the last name Camozzi between Brian and Chris has not had good UFC runs here. So I'm going to take advantage of the price savings. 7,300 Brian Camozzi is my preferred play. Joby Sanchez, 8,200. Roberto Sanchez, 8,000. Been back and forth in this fight. Started off with Roberto Sanchez because I thought he'd be able to get takedowns and kind of maintain position. I rewatched Joby Sanchez's Tuesday Night Contender Series fights. Had a nice reversal in there. Roberto Sanchez also, I don't think he's got much if he can't, stay on top here and kind of get a boring decision. So I don't think he's going to score well either way. Whereas Joby Sanchez finished his last, got a finish in his last fight. It's got the UFC experience, was on the roster once before. I just think all around, I'm coming around to the fact that I just think Joby is the all-around better fighter. He's more well-rounded and has more upside for sure at 8,200, so he's the preferred play. Lucy Pudilova, 8,500. Sarah Morris, 7,700. Not a fight I want to target. It's women's flyweight fight. Pudilova should keep us on the feet. Piece up Morris over 3 rounds because Morris's striking is not good. Morris's only path to victory is submission. She's a BJJ black belt, but Ashley Evans Smith played right into it, and Morris armbarred her. Pudilova, as long as if you're comfortable with her fight IQ, she's a safe cash game play. I don't see her scoring a ton of points. I probably wouldn't play her in tournaments. She's the preferred play at 8,500 because I think she's the better fighter, but I'm not really interested in either one of these ladies for the price. Oscar Peixota, 9,100 against Tim Williams, 7,100. I'll take Peixota. I think he's a little better everywhere. on the feet, grappling. Williams is just not UFC caliber. He is on the Ultimate Fighter. He's okay. He's a solid pro, but I just think he's a step below UFC level here. And Peixoto is an interesting up-and-coming prospect, so he's my preferred play. Alex Morono, 8,800. Josh Berkman, 7,400. Morono should walk through Berkman. Berkman is just shot. He's got one win, and I think he's 1-6 in the UFC or something crazy like that. Morono lost to Keita Nakamura last time out, was taken down a couple times. That's Berkman's only path here. He's got to get the takedown. I don't think he's going to be able to against Morono. Morono's no slouch on the ground. Berkman doesn't have a chin. He's, I think, going to get pieced up on the feet and probably put down. So Morono is the preferred play at 8,800. I will say everyone's on Morono, and that's my pick as well, obviously, like I just said. But this is a fight that there's one fight every card you kind of get that funny feeling on. I just have a weird feeling we might see something screwy here, and Josh Berkman somehow pull out a win at 7,400. Nothing in fact to that, just an odd feeling I have. Morono's my pick, and breakdown, he is who should win this fight. Just for what it's worth, I have an odd feeling. But Morono, preferred play, 8,800. Over to DraftKings, as I mentioned in the open, going to build a tournament lineup for the $8 hook. Always want to leave a little bit of salary on the table if you're trying to win this whole thing, which of course is the object of the GPP. You're not trying to min cash, trying to take down a tournament. So you should try and be different, leave some money on the table, or just general guidelines I try and follow. So as you noticed, and I think I mentioned, we're hurting for underdogs on this card. You're going to need to save salary. And I think a lot of people are down on Brian Camozzi, so I'm going to put him in at 7,300 and kind of see what I have to work with here. 85.40 is the average left for the next 5 fighters. I don't think that's going to get it done in terms of, I can't hover in the mid-range there. I'm not comfortable enough. I'm not even sure it's entirely possible. So I'm going to go ahead and take Yancy Medeiros. I do think that fight ends in a finish, a good tournament play. And now I have some more flexibility salary-wise at 8,700 and change. So now, Marcin Tybura, go to heavyweight clash. Again, I think it's a good tournament play. I'm going to put him in as well. Same thing with Joby Sanchez. I said I want to leave some salary on the table, so I'm not going to jump up, even though I'm starting to have some openings here. I'm going to take Joby Sanchez at 8,200. And now I can pick my 2 favorites. You have 9,200 left for Jared Gordon, Sage Northcutt, Peixoto, Vic, Morono. You can pretty much pick any of those 2, except you can't combine Gordon and Northcutt. So for this video, I'm going to try and leave about, say, 1 or 200 on the table. I'll take James Vick. And we're going to put in Oscar Peixoto because, again, the fight's early. I think a lot of people are going to be on Jared Gordon and Sage Northcutt. And I want to differentiate myself here. So that's the lineup. It came together pretty easily this week because I knew I needed some underdogs, and I only like 2. So Camozzi and Medeiros went in. I'll have a bunch of them in my other tournament lineups. But this one that we built this week is Camozzi, Medeiros, Tybura, Joby Sanchez, James Vick, Oscar Peixoto. That's what I have for you this week. Please give me a follow on Twitter, like this episode, subscribe to my YouTube page, give me a shout on Twitter. Always love talking fights with you guys. Good luck in your contest. I will see you next week.